Hi, my name is Donna Scheeder. I am the immediate past president of the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, and I spent my entire career at the U.S. Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Thank you, Donna, for agreeing to the interview. So, could you define what a modern library is to you?
Well, a modern library to me is, first of all, knows what the needs of its community are and focuses on serving those needs. It is a combination. Of course, the people who work in it are the most important part of it because they are the ones who are constantly working with their community. And a community can be an academic community or it can be a municipal community. We take the definition very broadly. And but they are in tune with what the community needs and provide the services to help people get the knowledge they need to accomplish their objectives in life, whether it's becoming more literate, or whether it's finding a job and needing the computer skills to be able to apply online, or whether it's wanting to know more about how to maintain their health and live a healthier life. And some communities have more emphasis on some services than other communities because not every community is alike and the people in it are not alike. So one of the most important things a modern library does is stay in touch not only with the people who are the users of their library, but they're conducting outreach to the people who don't come to the library and try to find out what is the best way to make them users of the library as well. Mm-hmm. It's a combination of print and technology, but it's also programming, because part of what modern libraries are now for many people who are lonely, they're a community or want to learn things with others or have a club. They are community meeting places where knowledge is shared. And so the programming for the library is just as important as the collections that it contains and the technology that it has there for people to use.
And talking about library staff, because you mentioned them as well, I know that in U.S. Librarians are supposed to be certified, right?
Yeah, you come from, no, the library schools that they go to are certified. Yes, yeah. And, but I think there's one thing that it's called accreditation. Mm-hmm. But there's one thing that I think we need to pay more attention to, and is that accreditation tends to reward established ways of doing things. And I think we also need to be careful that accreditation awards innovation, because in our society, in this century, the 21st century, things change very rapidly. And the kinds of things that librarians, as I said, when I first started working, there were no computers in libraries. I'm BC, before computers. And all during the course of my career, I kept being curious and wanting to learn about the new ways of doing things. And I learned more of that from seminars and going to association meetings than taking courses in library schools, because the schools, it may not be so true now, but schools tend to be slower to change their methods than the need exists in libraries for people who have learned newer things. So accreditation is important, but continuing education and curiosity of librarians and the desire to learn something new is even more important than you never stop learning. And if you do, you're not going to be a good librarian.
And then can a person who doesn't have librarian education become a librarian in the US?
Yes. I mean, by doing things. But I think the question isn't so much about the education maybe to do traditional library roles. But libraries need people that are good in other disciplines. For example, libraries need to market their services. And if you have somebody who has some background in that kind of in marketing and publicizing things, that's, especially in larger maybe public libraries, that's very much needed. Skills and outreach to people are very much needed. So there are libraries with big budgets perhaps need, rather than a librarian, need somebody who's got a business, aspect of things in order to do that. So there's many skill sets that are needed within the library besides traditional librarian skills.
So new librarians, I guess, should just be basically innovative and not just focused on the books and reading, but
the new librarian needs to be focused on how do I find out what the learning objectives are for the people that I'm serving and what their learning needs are, and how we make the library critical to helping them achieve those goals. So, for example, many urban libraries where in Europe even, Germany is a good example of this, where there are large immigrant populations, and it's a goal of the society and the immigrants to be welcome and to become part of the community. How does the library help the immigrant population to understand their new community, and how does the library act as a connection between the community and its new people to get them to come together to make a better, bigger community. So that's one example of a problem, a problem that might be in a particular community that the library is in a great place to help with by letting the people who are already there know more about the people that have come, and helping the people who have come understand what the culture is in the new place that they are. And that includes reading and learning the language skills and all of that. So libraries are centers of learning. A lot of the learning, they've always been that, but we've learned, the style was to learn ourselves by just reading books, but now the style is more of a community, and more of connecting the people in the community and people learning together and talking to each other and exchanging. And the librarian is the facilitator of bringing those people together.
And you also touched upon library services.
Yes.
So what do you think are the best practices that there are there, maybe in the U.S., some innovative services that libraries provide?
Well, I think number one is making sure that people, the technology world invents new things all the time, and they can be very helpful to your life if you understand how to use them, and if you also understand how to use the information that you can get from them, or how to be empowered by using these things. And so I think one of the most important roles that libraries can play is to help people become technologically literate. And of course, and I don't know what the situation is in Russia, whether individuals have to pay for internet access or not, or how I mean, you can't take a course on a telephone. I mean, when we say people are connected to the internet, many times that means that they have a mobile phone and they can connect the internet on it. But that may be all they have. They may not have laptops in their home. They may not have the means to get direct, or they may be in a rural area where those connections are not available. So the library being able to empower people to use, to give them access to the technology, and to also understand how to use it and how to find and use the information that they can get from it is a critical role, in addition to the traditional library services. Obviously, encouraging reading and making sure one of the goals for the Sustainable Development Goals at the United Nations is 100% literacy in every country, and that is where libraries and schools particularly partner, but there are a lot of adults who somehow manage to get through a lot of their life without becoming literate enough to really be able to enjoy that. So librarians as champions of literature is very important, and also preserving the local culture, you know, and being a hub for the local culture, because now with the internet, you find big places that tend to drive the people may be losing their local authors, the things that are important and different to that place, and the library helps to preserve that, and that's very important as well. So there are many opportunities for libraries, but the important thing is that they prioritize the things that their community needs the most.
And do you think there is a limit to what events can be held in the library? Because for us it can be quite well, it can rouse quite some negativity from people when you, for example, host a cooking class in the library or something that is not exactly connected to library.
I don't think that should be a problem. Certainly the library has cookbooks in it, and so connecting people's curiosity about cooking, and if these are part of your collection, or again it might be local cultural cooking, and maybe the recipes have been handed down and never written, so you're preserving the culture. I mean, I truly believe that libraries as centers of knowledge, why would it be a problem to bring people together to share their cooking knowledge and to cook together, and to maybe discover new different kinds of recipes in the cookbooks that the library has, and learn some other things to cook. If that's what the community is interested in, it's a wonderful thing to do.
And can we get back to libraries for a second?
Yeah.
Yes. So you mentioned that librarians can get accreditations,
yes.
certificates. And what about libraries themselves? Do you evaluate them somehow?
No. I mean, academic libraries, yes. Academic libraries are different because universities, part of what they're evaluated on is the collections and the services of their libraries. But I mean, obviously libraries have to report data, and they have to report things to people, and the people who fund them use that data to evaluate the success of the library. So in the sense that libraries are certainly accountable to both their users and their funders. You know, the users can vote with their feet. I like to say that it is important that every library is a good library, because there's a lot of competition for libraries now, particularly with the internet and social media and all kinds of things that people do. And if a library is good and is like I described, their community values it because it's a place where they learn, and it brings them together, and all of those good things, then if their library is good, they'll think all libraries are good like this, you know. But if that library is bad, if it's like the before picture in here, you know, it has not changed, then they think all libraries are that way, and they will not support them. They will not support the money going to libraries. They will not support having the library in their community, because they think that they're all like that. So So we must strive to have every library be an excellent library, because that's how people will judge
All the libraries.
all the libraries. Right, right.
And speaking about funding, so can you tell a little bit how it works in the U.S.? Does the state fund? Is there federal funding, sponsors?
Well, the Institute of Museum and Library Services does not fund individual libraries, but it funds programs to support that, and particularly it has a research agenda, it collects data, it helps libraries sort of understand where the practice of librarianship and libraries is in the United States, but it does not direct it. And there are library construction programs, there's grant programs where, but libraries are funded by their towns and their states. There's a lot of states, for example, will have a cooperative library consortium where like the databases and things, the information resources are bought for a collection of libraries with state money, but not all states do that. The one thing probably, there are many models for funding libraries in the United States, some of which are excellent. And then in many places, they will pass an initiative to, there may be a funding formula that there would be so much money that's given, as this part of the budget always goes to libraries, to raise that, so that there'll be a petition, and the people in the town or that county may vote to give the library more money. And so the librarians have to be good advocates. And that's one of the reasons why the connection with the community is so good, because governments have many priorities, and they respond to the people who tell them that, to their constituents who tell them that something is important to them, and who tell them the stories about how the library has helped them. And if that voice from the library users to the funders, the politicians, is loud, then the library will be successful. But if the library has not been helping them and has been passive, and waiting for people to come in the door, then that voice will not be there. So that's, in many ways, that's the way the library is evaluated, particularly public libraries. Academic libraries are much different, so.
Yeah, and since you need to activate libraries, I mean, active libraries would be active
Yeah,
librarians,
yeah,
your staff has to be active. Have you ever faced a point where libraries have been evolving with the new generation, new technologies? So libraries keep evolving, and then comes a point when the staff has to evolve as well.
Yes, well, yes.
And for us, that's a challenge.
Yeah, well, one of the things, and this is actually something I have taught some seminars and programs on, is change management.
Yeah.
And it's very important. You're always going to have early adapters and people who are enthusiastic about change. And then you're always going to have some people who are going to resist change. And then you have all the people in the middle that you find the strategies to help them along. You will probably never be 100% successful in changing everyone. And it's at that point that you have to have I call it the courageous conversation, because no one as a manager likes to sit with somebody and say, you're not doing a good job, and you have to get people to understand that this is the new work, and if they want to continue doing things the old way and they will not change, then they need to go find a different place to work, where that will work for them, where that will fit in. But that is not the way. They are not going to be happy ever, because unless they can do this. So if they're not going to be happy there, they need to go find some place that wants what they do.
And do U.S. libraries have a lot of young staff?
Yes.
Yes?
More and more. Yes, it's very exciting. Young staff and enthusiastic, and it's really good. You'll find, they bring new ideas, and it's very, very energizing, particularly, for example, in public libraries where you have communities of teens, you know, and the library can be a very important place for teens, not to hang out with each other and to, you know, do things they like to do that are learning things, like maybe start a coding club, or you know, do things that will help them build skills as they go into, you know, as they go into higher education and go into adult life, but also a safe place for them to be, you know, and so some of the young people are really into this, and it's really, really good to see that, and then other people are into other things, but that, like using social media to promote your library, having courses for people on how to use the information you find in social media, which sometimes, how to evaluate it. I mean, these are all kinds of things that these kids grew up with that they can now do extremely well, and there's a great place for them in the library, you know, and they're making it a fun and modern place to be and coming in with new ideas. But that means you have to have managers that are open to innovation, open to new ideas, are good coaches for these people, you know. So yeah, we have a lot of young people, and they're bringing new energy and new people into the library with them.
So basically it's the library itself and the welcoming atmosphere there that attracts the young people to libraries and sort of invites them to work there?
That part of, yes, you know, and the outreach to schools and the outreach to places that teens are, and the use of, so the younger people tend to be bring in their experience with social media and how for the library to be places virtually that their client, you know, the people they want to attract into the library are, and how to appeal to them, to say, hey, we're doing this at the library, and if you come, you know, we will come join this group, and you will learn, and we will have these things, and you can, I mean, people to write their own music and play, for example, or poetry, you know, these poetry writing and programs where people get up and do their poems, and I mean, all kinds of things like that. Yeah. So yeah, and again, the modern library is not just a place to consume culture now, it is a place to create culture. And that's particularly important, I think, to the younger users, the younger people, to have those opportunities to try things on their own, you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask one more favor?
Sure.
Could you look into this camera right here and wish something to our librarians, to our colleagues in Russia that want to be modernized, that want to keep up to date with everything that's going on?
I am so excited and happy for you because I have been shown this project, and this is a tremendous opportunity. It will also be a challenge because you will need to, once the library is modernized, the trick will be to keep it modern in its outlook and philosophy, and to always remember that the next steps and the next direction will come from the people that you serve, and you will work with them closely. You will have a magnificent space, but you will also have a wonderful community. So I'm very envious and jealous that you get to do this. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope someday that maybe I will be able to come and visit some of your libraries.
Yeah, we would be happy to.